how I helped my children learn 5 languages, some of which I don't even speak. My name is Alhan, and languages are my hobby that I've turned into my profession. In this video, I will share with you the steps that I have taken to help my children learn 5 languages. First of all, we need to ask ourselves why. Why do I want my children to learn X number of languages? I will share with you the reasons I've had to teach my children 5 languages, and I would love to hear why you want to teach your children the languages you'd like to teach them. So for each of the 5 languages that my children speak, I felt that there was a strong reason for them to learn it. The first language that my children speak is Persian. Persian is our mother language. It's the language that the family speaks when we get together. Many of our friends are Persian speaking, so there was no question about them learning this language. The second language that I wanted my children to learn was Arabic. Now you might wonder why a non-Arab wants her children to learn Arabic. The reason is because both myself and my husband were born and raised in Arab countries. Our schooling was entirely in Arabic, and we both appreciate this language and know how difficult it is to learn it as an adult. Also, it is the language of our holy books. Therefore, we both agreed that it's important for them to learn Arabic, even though Arabic is not our mother language, but it's one of the strongest languages that we speak, and the Arab culture in general has become a very important part of our lives. Another thing is that I have my BA degree in Arabic language and literature, so I just had to teach it to my children. The third language that we decided we would like our children to learn was Azeri. Azeri is spoken in a few provinces in Iran. My husband's side of the family are from that region in Iran, and sometimes when they get together as an extended family, they would speak Azeri together. Even though I don't understand it, I wanted my children to feel that they belong to that culture. The question was how, and we will get to that shortly. The last 2 languages that were a must also for my children to learn were English and French. Why? Because they are the 2 official languages of the country that they're living in, that they're born in, Canada. The next point that I had to tackle was how. The first thing I had to do was research, and I encourage everyone to do the same with the amount of languages they want to teach their children. Some of the research I remember I did was that each child is able to learn up to 7 languages without mixing them up. However, the condition for them to learn all these languages without mixing them up was 1 person, 1 language. So I had to pick which one of the languages I wanted to speak to them and who would be the teachers for the rest of the language. Persian was going to be the language of the family. My husband decided to speak to children in Persian. The second language in the family that we wanted them to learn was Azeri. Grandma took on this responsibility, and she's been doing it since the children were born. I decided to take on Arabic, and for English and French, we decided to leave it to the community. So my children started learning English once they entered daycare at the age of 2 or 3, and French once they entered school at the age of 4. The next important point is consistency. After deciding to teach them all these languages and who's going to teach them what, the question was how to stay consistent with exposing them to these languages as much as possible. For instance, with French, they're exposed to it 5 days a week and not on the weekends. It's the same with the rest of them, more with Persian because it's what the family speaks. With grandma, it's Azeri. It might not be the same length of time or the same consistency, but it's also consistent. With English, it's outside in the community. Once they step outside of home, it's English. I'm finding it a challenge to stay as consistent with Arabic as I'd like to be. However, I try to remind myself every time that I speak another language to them to stay consistent with Arabic, and I ask them to remind me of that, and I'll immediately apologize and say, "You're right," and say the sentence or the question in Arabic to them. The next point is very much linked to consistency. It's exposing them to the language in as many different ways as possible, or immersing them into the language. For instance, every time they want to watch their favorite show, I say, well, first you have to spend 10 minutes watching a cartoon in Persian or watching a cartoon in Arabic, and then you can watch your favorite show. Another example is when we're sitting in the car, we play games with it. So I'd say, okay, let's do the translation game. I'd say a word or a phrase in Arabic, and I'd ask one of my children to say it in another language, and another child to say it in a third language. Now, it's interesting with Azeri because I don't speak it, they have to tell me what it is. Also, if your children are very young, speaking to them as much as possible is important. So constantly speaking to them, constantly exposing them to the language. I would love to hear some of the methods you have used to immerse your children in the language that you're teaching them or you have succeeded in teaching them. People ask me sometimes, do you regret exposing your children to 5 different languages? What do you think about that? I don't think I regret that because these languages are linked to them directly in a way or another. They are the languages of the family or the languages of the place that they're living in. Another question that sometimes people ask me is, do you think you succeeded in teaching your children 5 languages? They are not at the same level with all 5 languages. They speak 3 of them very fluently, and my understanding is because these 3 languages are languages that are spoken in groups of people, whereas the 2 other languages that they understand pretty well, but they do not respond back to us in them, are Arabic and Azeri, and that's because it's only one person in their lives who speaks to them in those 2 languages. I know that when the time comes and they will see themselves in a group of people speaking in Azeri or a group of people speaking in Arabic, they will have the tools that they need to just polish these skills and improve their speaking. One method that has definitely helped a lot is the reward system. So every time they say a sentence or 2, I really encourage them. I say, wow, you have really improved. Wow, I did not expect you to know this in Arabic. So these little encouragements can really go a very long way. If you have a similar experience, I would love to hear what you have done or what you're doing to teach your children more than one language, how successful you've been, what you would have done differently, and anything that you would like to share with me and whoever's watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and click on the bell button so that you get notified with the next video. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.